Hey everyone, Ethan Ainsworth here. I just finished reading Spider-Man. This is considered the novelization of the film, but really it is an adaptation of the screenplay for the film, written before the film was released, obviously, in order to coincide with the release. But this was written by legendary comic book creator and Star Trek novel writer Peter David, who worked on the Hulk for a number of years and who worked on various Spider-Man related projects such as Spider-Man 2099. But this is based off the original screenplay for the Sam Raimi 2002 Spider-Man film, and I have the other two here as well. I've not gotten a chance to read these yet in their entirety, but I have just completed this book. This is this movie we never got. This is, for all intents and purposes, the same core story with the same core elements that we got on film, with a few small changes. But largely, it's the things that were left on the cutting room floor. It's the uniqueness, the missing elements from the film that made this such a compelling read, that made this so engaging, and made this so intimately familiar, but also new and fresh. Because I've owned no fewer than 5 copies of Spider-Man in my life, and each copy has probably gotten no fewer than 10 plays each. And so I've seen this a movie, obviously, a number of times, numerous times, to say the least. And I got like a whole new experience reading this book. And I'm not just saying that to say that. This book, if you are a fan of these Raimi movies, I totally recommend this. Everybody gets an arc in this book. This book is brilliant, and I love it, and it will forever change the way I view the Raimi universe. Obviously, Sam Raimi is in my opinion, he's a genius, and he deserves all the praise he gets. And the movie is a very good condensement of the screenplay. But having now read the original screenplay via this book, I can say that it changes everything. There's so much character development in this book that unfortunately just would not fit in a reasonably paced 2-hour blockbuster. But everybody gets an arc in this. Everybody is immensely fleshed out in this. We learn stuff about Aunt May that we never have gotten on film or anywhere else in any other Spider-Man story, comic books, films, or otherwise. Like, we learn the depths of Mary Jane's character. We get to go home with her. We get to experience what she experiences. We get to grow with her and learn who she is as a person and why. We get to see her struggles as an actress. We get to see the sort of connective tissue between scenes. We get in the heads of the characters in a way that we've never gotten before with the movies. And it all serves to create like a really, really fascinating and compelling narrative. I teared up a couple of times in this book because these characters are so like immensely personal to me. Now, I'm not what you would call an outwardly emotional person. I'm pretty restrained and controlled in that way, but I am an immensely passionate person, and as such, this book certainly struck a chord with me. I found myself relating to a lot of the personal and emotional struggles that the characters in this book faced, the relationships they feel, the abandonment that some of them feel, the struggles with self, the struggles with interpersonal relationships. It's why I love Spider-Man, not just because of the character, or not just because of the powers and the costume and everything, which is of course iconic and great, but because of the personal struggles, because of the characters, the things that they have to go through, the things that they have to overcome to grow and continue. And J. Jonah Jameson gets an arc in this book, for God's sake, in the screenplay. Um, David Keop, title here, or name there. This book is excellent. The screenplay, I should say, is excellent. For all intents and purposes, this is just the screenplay printed out in novel format, but it's made readable by Peter David, and by that I mean instead of screenplay format, which wouldn't flow very well in long read sessions. I think I read 70 pages of this today, pretty much in one sitting, because it's so gripping and engaging. But this is just the screenplay that has been translated and reworked into a standard novel format by Peter David, who also does the Hulk novelization. Well, I haven't read that yet, but I do have it over there on my shelf. And anyway, I have been reinvigorated is not the word for it, because I've always loved the Spider-Man franchise. But I see it in a whole new light. In a way, at least these original three films, I feel like I understand the characters better and more personally than I ever did before. And like, nobody's seen these movies more times than I have. But I feel like I've explored new depths that I hadn't experienced before. If you've seen these movies, by the way, I recommend watching them with somebody who hasn't watched them before, but does like that sort of thing. I felt similarly, but not quite as strong, when I watched the films for the first time with my little brother, who's 10 years old, and I experienced it through his eyes for the first time. The intensity of the films, the drama, the characterization, the dynamics between hero and villain, between friend and friend, between friend and love interest. He certainly went through an emotional ride, and I got to experience that. I got the privilege of experiencing that with him, again for the first time. And I felt like I got that experience once again with this book. And yeah, so I guess special thanks to Peter David, special thanks to Sam Raimi and David Kiep, who wrote the screenplay, and of course was later translated by Peter David. Yeah, I can't recommend this enough. If you can find this, I got this for $5 each at a comic book shop last summer, but I've only just gotten around to reading this book in its entirety. So yeah, I mean, if you love these movies, there's nothing more I could recommend than you. Sorry, I obviously didn't write any notes or thoughts. There's nothing I can recommend stronger to you than reading this book. This screenplay really does fill in the blanks of these characters and these scenes, and really does inform the greater narrative. So if you're a veteran of these films, you can't do yourself a bigger favor than going out and picking up the screenplay. Anyway, I think I'm repeating myself to some capacity at this point. So I just finished like 5 minutes ago reading this book, so I'm still kind of collecting my thoughts and feelings, and yeah. So certainly subscribe to the channel if you like Spider-Man. If you like me, you don't have to. Give this video a like, and stay tuned. Maybe I'll review these other two books as well at some point. Excelsior.